Hello everybody, good morning. You come last night?
Huh?
You came back last night?
Yeah, I did.
Anyway, I'm very happy to see you again. Also, did this dream come before you? No. Yeah. Hi, nice to meet you. I think most people still not come back to from Washington. Maybe today they have some meeting with Obama. Anyway, we talk now complete again. Usually after you receive all this teaching, almost students have to more talk. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we are once that very fortunate to study Dharma. Usually not necessary to study Dharma, but the one point you study Dharma, understand Dharma, maybe your more calm down mind, more peaceful mind. Not 100%, but maybe who study Dharma and who doesn't study Dharma, there's two kinds of people, maybe have same situation, maybe difficult situation, and maybe I think 60-70% who study Dharma, the kind of person has more calm down mind in that same difficult situation. Same time, same situation, but one person, that was study Dharma, one person study Dharma, but going on a knowledge,
Bearing the hardship.
bearing the hardship is complete. Because one person knows the reality, how you control your mind. One person has this just happened. Before they have nothing, any experience. They don't have any things. They are bored. Bored, stressed mind. Easy to upset down. If you study long-term Dharma, this kind of person also not necessary to Buddhism. Just study Dharma. Then they're much better to, they control their mind. This is the one benefit for this life. Also, Buddhists say every day that you go there. If you study, if you know reality exactly, then you have happy mind. If you have happy mind, you have healthy body. If you have healthy body, you will long life. Everybody loves to long life. Right? Also, if you long life, you do more benefits. If you do bad things, maybe, yesterday someone did a joke. He was a terrorist person. Sometimes better than short life person. Long life and short life better is short life because he do very bad things. If he bad things, then he get a lot of bad karmas. Then he had a lot of results. To show that, then stop that things. But no one else show that, right? But anyway, Buddhism talk about reality, exactly situation, not just, someone correct or someone to judge, or you have to do this, you have to do this, not that kind. Also, Buddha also give for us to check investigation. If I have this explain, I get the result. Whatever I have experienced, I teach you guys. But it's yes or not, it's work or not, you guys investigation. Then we have to check. Right? Usually the scientists check physical things, outside things, they check many different machines they use. They know exactly, but it doesn't check, I don't know, maybe they check that. It doesn't find. What's it, mental? Simple. Mental. Mind. Buddhism, it doesn't check in the outside physical things. We check in inside mind. We have many different kind of minds. Right? Happy minds, sad minds, and, peaceful minds, angry minds, jealousy minds, judgment minds. This mind is not just one mind, different minds. Therefore, investigation is kind of minds, identified. Then what kind of mind develop for ourselves, this mind, what kind of result brings? What kind of mind develop for us? Our mind. One kind of result, this kind of mind brings. We check, good way or bad way, two things. Right? Then we check, we know, for example, we say, Buddhism explains always, anger is bad. Don't develop anger. But it always happens very easily. And after angry, then we are not happy, or relatives not happy, bring more trouble. Then, they get bad results. Therefore, this kind of mind is not good. You have to abandon, kick out this mind from our mind. This is just we check, Somebody says, oh, anger is very bad. We have to subdue or abandon angry. Otherwise, you get bad results. Just someone said, just we say lesson, then nothing makes sense. We check, true or not. When I'm angry, if I'm happy, if I meet my friends, my relatives, happy or not, you have to check. Then you can measure it. Maybe some mission, go to MIT or Harvard, scientists, you can check it. This job, but they don't find. Therefore, we have to check our mind. No one judge for our mind. Who judge our mind? Judge our mind. Right?
So you have to check your own mind.
Yeah, you have to check your own mind. Which was better, which was bad. Then you say, compassion, loving kindness is good. Why? You have to check this also. You know, Buddha said good, we say, oh, this is good. And one day, someone said, oh, this is not good. You don't, investigation is very easy to lose. You say, oh, someone very cut over talkative. Very talkative people come to, oh, compassion, very bad, he do very bad things. And you say, oh, that doesn't make sense. Then, you know, we give up very easily. But you have to, investigation, you have to check. If you know in reality, exactly, then no one comes to explain that. You don't, easy to change, right? For example, we say, this cup is a glass. Everybody knows. I don't know, it's a glass, what do you call this? It's not glass, right? What do you call it? It's clear? China, many China. Maybe this is maybe wood. People say, oh, this is wood. You don't check. You say, oh, it's a wood, really nice color, but it's just a wood. Then first you build a wood, you don't check. And the other guy comes and says, no, this is not wood. This is a glass. And he has many reasons. Then you find something, oh, it makes sense. It's very easy to our mind go to different way. So whatever we do, whatever we practice, whatever we meditation, very important is to check, identification, investigation is more important. Then you find the reality. Then no one change your mind. It's more important. Then we study Buddhism. It's not easy. It's not finished in just one life. We are not get finished. People say, okay, now this kind of person finished Buddhism. They get, some degree, PhD or diploma. Or this kind of person finished the PhD or the Buddhism. We don't get this kind of. When we change our mind, develop our mind, happy mind, peaceful mind, relaxed mind, this is the result of studying Dharma. Other people, maybe people someone study 10, 20 years, they meet some other differences. Are you guys not finished study? I heard someone ask a question. Some of our students, they come to here many years, and they are their friends for love. Are you guys not finished study? Oh, we are not finished your whole life. But this is, life to life. The goal is Shiva enlightenment, full enlightenment, full enlightenment. This is not easy. When you have never angry, never attachment, never jealousy, your mind, then it's very close, but it's very difficult, right? Very easy to just be angry, just someone said, just single word, they make our mind change. Even they show some maybe different shape, because you're a bit unhappy, then you're angry, some jealous kind of, right? Therefore, when we have not this kind of minds coming, then we almost finish with it. But this is not easy. But someone told this experiment doesn't work. You have to study. Usually, whatever we do is physical things. We have to first study, right? We have to dog, we have to study first. If he doesn't know the effect, for example, me, I have no path to learning partner. I always fail. I take test teachers. I fail. because I don't know their roles. Therefore, we don't know how you develop our mind, how you subdue our bad minds, negative minds. Then we just meditate, oh, I need to subdue my negativeness, I need to develop my positive minds. It doesn't work if you meditate in 2 hours, 3 hours. It doesn't matter. Because you doesn't know how you live. Therefore, study is very important. Read books, then investigation, check. Usually sometimes people think, oh, I have always this. You know, they always say. People say, oh, if I into Buddhism, then normally people come. If we told we have Kurukulla Center, then all of the world people come. But main thing is to teach Buddhism into Buddhism. How you study what is Buddhism, what benefit. This is the always say. His main thing is this. Who come to only Kalachaka, who come to first to end, this is my first student. Who come to only Kalachaka, second student. That means, study is more important. Therefore, everybody should study. If you find knowledge through Buddhism, but you find some benefit from Buddhism, then you can study. There's nothing wrong. You can study. Nothing to do it, but okay. I think my English is finished. I have to say some word, couple words, other words I forget. These are Takanjimaji. I'm not going to say that's your much.
So, in Buddhism, we believe in past and future lives. So, if someone were to ask you, what is the proof or the reason that you believe in past and future life, then we should be able to answer that, right? We always say that the reason for practicing Dharma is not just for the benefit of this life, it is to benefit many lives in the future. So therefore we believe in past lives and we believe in future life as well, right? So, but if we try to whether there are future lives and past lives or not, in a scientific way, then we'll never be able to find out. So there's no way to find out scientifically. So now we have to try to find it out in different ways, through applying the reasons and by referring to the scriptural supports. And so when we talk about the scriptural supports, which is like said in the scriptures of the Buddha, then there are some people who believe in Buddha's scripture, and there are some who don't believe in Buddha's scripture. So we have to find a different way to prove to those who don't believe in Buddha's scriptures. So somebody who don't believe in Buddha's scripture, if you say, oh, this is what it said in Buddha's scripture, he will say, so what? You will not accept that, right? And so now the only way to prove is through the logical reasons. So there are many of you who have heard this many times before, who have studied, senior students, right? How will you explain to prove that there is past and future lives? So do you understand, the reason why there is past and future life? Can you make some ideas in your mind that this is how past and future life exist? And then there are also people who say there's no past and future life, right? Of course, you can't just believe just because they say that there is no past and future life. You have to ask them why there's no past and future life. And then they have also a reason to explain. Some have reason to explain that why there is no past and future life. As a Buddhist, why we practice Dharma, why we study all these teachings and practice them, is because we think this will be a benefit to ourselves in the future life, right? And if there's no future life, then there's no purpose of doing this teaching or doing these practices, right? So if there are future lives, there are past and future lives, then it is important to think why there is past and future lives.
Okay? What's the reason? Yeah, you say something?
Well, I grew up as a Catholic, and we were told to be good because if we were bad, we would go to hell, purgatory. So we were taught that you would go to heaven if you were good. So that was the motivation, that when you die, you do not want to go to a negative place, a bad place. So when I came into Buddhism, I did not believe in past and future lives. So it was like, whoa, they're talking about it. And then I started to read about great masters who would come back. And then I had personal experiences, and then now I totally know that that's the only explanation for our lives. It's continuum. And I see the things that I've done in my past have brought negative actions into my present life, into my mind. And so I'm very motivated to try to correct these negativities because I don't want my future, even in this life, to be affected by that, or to be affect people around me. But as far as proving to someone, I always say, did you see the unmistaken child? That's the easiest way for me because that's such a definite proof of God. But I don't know what else to say to people to convince them that there are past.
You talk about your Buddhism, you did not like this, it will all come back here. But this is not real reason.
Because nothing can come from a substantial cause that's different than it. So the only substantial cause that can cause a mind is a mind. And therefore we have to, the only thing that can precede mind is mind.
That's good. How do people not?
Different.
How do people different?
So he talked about the substantial cause, right? So usually whatever thing there are, usually for it to come into existence, so for it to be produced, that has to have its cause. And there are two types of causes. One is called the substantial cause, and the other one is called the auxiliary cause. So substantial cause has to be something that changes into that product, the thing that is produced.
근데 현지 시제에서 해야 돼. 다들 못 받치는 거예요. 그래서
So the auxiliary cause is like those other things that helps for it to be produced.
아주 저도 하고 와서
You understand that, right?
배차셔와나 나도 시도 애플로 해봐야나 애플 그 사면대 다 애플 그 얘는 게 있어.
So, for example, in the case of apple, when you talk about the apple, the substantial cause of the apple is the apple seed.
다 대리 애플도 사원 시드마 주는 것도 출루야도 밀루야도 지도체야도 다다 현지 시제에서.
And then other things that helps the seed to grow into an apple is the auxiliary dose, like the water, the manure, the fertilizers, and so forth.
그래서 애플 그 시드라야 애플 제발 애플 시드 애플 코란 타월 받아 가지고 주스 오렌지 제 사람도 맞았나 애플 케어 먹었어.
So in order for you to grow an apple, you have to have the apple seed. By planting an orange seed, you will not grow apple.
다들 다 가지고 밀도 다 가지고 밀도 다 가지고 밀라 셈발리니도 왔어.
So now we go back to human beings, right? So who have past and future lives. That we were talking about. So human beings, we each have a mind and a body, right?
그래서 나도 버리도 나도 말해 왔어. 그랬다 말. 그래서 다 나도 버리지 다 공부 다 나도 공부도 다 죽으랬어. 다 죽었어.
So the body, is visible. It has a form, right?
나 죽이다 죽이 얘네들은 죽고 그랬어.
So because it's visible, so therefore the cause of that visible thing has to be also the substantial cause has to be also visible.
당가서 말하다 시발이 얘네들이 시발고 그랬어.
It's the same thing. So the mind, which is invisible, the substantial cause of the mind has to be the invisible mind itself also.
대리마다 다 대리가도 되는데 루야 믿어도 그런가? 다 계산을 가지고 언제 남아되게 얘네는 레벨에 계산.
And so
계산 셈대 대리선 보고도 계산 그런 거
And so today's mind, today's people, today's person, is the continuation from yesterday, right? It's the continuation from yesterday. So today's body is the continuation from yesterday. It didn't just come up by itself today, right? It continued from yesterday. In the same way, the mind continued from yesterday to today's mind.
가상이 제일 그게 와지를 되다 지사를 좋아. 지사.
Chess.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So
지사.
So yesterday's chess continued to today's chess, right? So what happened to yesterday's chess? She's no longer, right?
She's no longer, she's dead.
얘는 나도 봤다는 뭐라 정확히로 주변에 통도 왔어.
But if we don't think in that way, if we just look at chess, then she looks same, right? Yesterday's chess, today's chess, no different, right? But yesterday's chess is no longer. She's gone already, right?
아 나도 던서는 나도 이렇게 하는 그거 못 왔어. 나도 그러니까 직바로 와. How can she change? She has sense. Not change. It doesn't believe that. It doesn't see. Now we can check the flow. Yesterday the whole is explained. We go to that day now. The flow. They become old. They're old. They're not just old today. Continue their old every day, little bit. 그래. 이번 얘네 곧 이번 주제 가면 지금 저서
So the becoming old doesn't happen at once, right? It becomes gradually, in a many process, right?
아주 산에 병가 신고 나로 간다 세우차로 왔어. 그 누마치 자서 말해왔어.
It's the same thing like when the leaf color changes in the fall. It didn't happen just in one time, one day, right?
이제 도진 진도에서 깨진 남마디 깨심마디가 다 예능이 되죠.
So it disintegrates in that way, gradually. And so then the earlier moment of that person or that thing changes into the later moment of that person or that thing.
다들 봐도 다 대행이 계속 계산. 다 봐봐. 다 나도로 좁지 다 뒤에서 그 자동 방어로 되는 줄 알고.
So you can go back, you can trace back of jazz, right? Jazz, today's jazz, came from yesterday, and then yesterday's from the day before yesterday, and day before yesterday, maybe from like a month before jazz, or the year before jazz. Then you can go back to when she was 18 years old, teenager, and so forth.
되게 맞추죠. 되게 나도 보기 전에 말로.
And then you can trace back, all the way to she was an infant in the womb, and so forth. And so you can trace back that way.
다 오늘 내는 사말이야. 다 밤에 다 레시도 말이야. 바와 아마니 너도 얘는 게 말이야. 바와 나도 뭐 무슨 것도 아마는 뭐가 말이야. 가가 와서.
And so then we reached all the way to the womb, where she was conceived. And then there, how did she come into existence there again? And so, her body was developed there, but her mind, where did it come from? And so, the mind of Jess was not the result, or the product of her parents' mind, right?
이제 수고대야. 말로 자식이 수고대야. 바와 아미가 수고 만들 수고 못 해서 하는 거야. 이거 다 수고 자체대로 하는 건데. 다 되는 제시 맞죠. 다 수고 있는 게 무슨 말이야?
So it's the substance of parents' body, the substance of their parents' body that changed, that transformed, that served as a substantial cause, which transformed into just body, right?
그러지 파치서나 다 나라 속에 지지 수고 세가 남는데 무슨 다 바와 아메기 그다서 다 때려때려 다 내려 tutto 왔어.
So again, so the substantial cause of Jess's body is not her parents' body. It's just the substance of her parents' body. So as I said, the sperm and the blood of her parents is the substantial cause of Jess's body.
이 바와마 뒤가 양한테 딱 그런 대양 그것을 또 수복 자체에 대양 파파바트나 그런 거 바와마 들 가지고 왔어.
And then again, that the substance, the partial substance of her body, her parents' body. Again, if you trace back, then that came from their parents' body, right? So their parents' body, grandparents' body, and so forth.
다 둘 파트나 땅은 코알라 토미가 다 매스 먹는 거.
So that way, if you trace back, there's no beginning. So good shot is similar to the shot, so good shot.
딱 그래. 담에 살고. 근데 땅도 여기 수고다 가지고 가와서 가도 다 제대로 해야 맞고.
So then you have to trace back all the way, back when the human beings came into existence, how human beings came into existence, right?
다 나도지 시바데. 아와메 그라도 나도 시베 먹고 그래서.
And so now the mind, which is invisible, which doesn't have a form, right? Therefore, its substantial cause has to be something invisible, which doesn't have a form. And so therefore, the body of the parents, which has a form, cannot become a substantial cause of her mind, right?
근데 이제 이 시바데야 이거에다 그런 예능이 되고 예능이 제대 그런 거를 튼다고. 그런 거를 튼바데 다 제가 한번 가사기 시비지지 다 시바데 먹고.
And so, because for it to be the substantial cause of her mind, it has to be similar to her mind. Means like, if it doesn't have form, should not have form. If it has a form, so it has to have that similarity. And so it can be only mind in that case. And so the substantial cause of her mind can be only mind. So the mind which conceived in the womb, the substantial cause of that mind has to be mind, and that has to be the mind before that mind, the moment before that mind. And so when you trace back that way, then that has to come from the mind, which was her past life's mind, and then that came into this present life's mind, present life's body.
Question.
오케이.
It's the big question, but what if it is the mind of a combined parents? They have the mind. Obviously, there's no form and no shape, whatever. But what is the combined mind of the parents? It's just like a body, something of the body. Would that work that way or not?
The same deal, how much is same deal? And then more same deal, let's say, to my cousin call up, let's call it same round the two us, same number of us. Same number of us, another too much worse, 나는 그런 게 뭐 하나게 생겨라. 근데 뭐라는 게 생기 내리는 요즘은 가진 내가 와서 맞아. 본전에 왜 tun거라서. 세미나를 tun거라서.
예, 그런데 말이야. 그런데 말하는 거 모르고 그래서 대지한테 말. 한국 대지한테 말하는 거 모르세요. 이렇게 대지하는
And so it has to be similar, but also it has to be something that can be transformed into the mind of chess. So the apple seed, transformed into apple, right? Doesn't it? It changes into apple. So that's what the substantial cause has to be. So your parents' mind cannot change into your mind, right? Therefore, your parents' mind cannot be the substantial cause of your mind.
What if the combination of their mind, just like my body, kind of like a substance of, blood and as you mentioned, so why can't the mind be just a substance of both their mind from me?
So that mind no longer exists. Is it transformed
No,
into your
no,
mind?
no, no, it's just that their body still exists, but just not their body become mind, right? So can part of their formless mind kind of become mind? My mind?
과마게 생리 두 번째. 생리는 루루정이라. 생리에서 루루정 디르는 뭐라고 생각해요, 영어에서.
대대적으로 봐와야 아마 잘 돼.
So if you combine that, then you become mad. You can't do that.
같이 제일 지난 거 가정 나눠서 그렇지. 봐와면 샘그 다 대지든 같은 지 아주 샘 대지도 올라가다. 그래서 투부터 샤도 와서 야 그만 들죠. 좀 좋아요. 좋다고 좋대 좋아요. 이 봐와만 돼요. 이 끼워 놓고. 그럼 좋죠.
So even if you say your parents, combination of your parents' mind become your mind, transform into your mind, still your parents' mind has to come from somewhere else, from the past life, right? And so that way still, it doesn't stop us from proving that there is a past life.
얘나 좋다는 뜻은 말했어.
But of course, that's not the way to, that's not possible, and that's not the way.
나는 좋다는데 지난게 깨워 남매겠다. 같이 지난 나도 내가 막 깨워 심마 딱 깨워 연주 깨워만 이게 시바되게 되지 심하지 딱 깨워 심하게 생기되고 시집을 보내고.
Then again, your mind continues, right? So yesterday's mind became today's mind, just like that. And then next, this life's mind becomes, when it conceives, when it takes birth through conception, then it transforms into that person's mind, whoever that person is going to be, that being's mind, whether it's going to be an animal or whatever kind of being it's going to be.
그래서 대응이 나는 나도 진짜 쌤도 나도 시바 매봐라 산 시바도 좋아요 말고.
So without today's mind, there cannot be mind of tomorrow, right?
그래서 아주 깨워 남매가 섬지지기 시바 나도 깨워 되게 시베 얘네가 오늘 시바이면은 나도 쌤이 시바를 못해도.
So there is no past life's mind that can change into the mind of this life, then this life mind cannot exist.
아니 둘 전에 나 빠데 치라고요. 남들 애니가 경험 좀
So in this way, the Dharma Kirti has proved the mind, the existence of the past and future life is compendium of recognition.
텐트에 받았다. 나도 조시는 삼노다에 소리 고하라고 경험하시 해가 손으로 고하라고 그랬어요.
And so in this thinking this way, then you have to come to understand how there is past and future life.
야, 진짜들이 해서야 대륙이 10에 예능이 지나 산이 10바 가성 10바 고해서 야 가성들은 캐니가 나는 바보 되나? 나는 우리 바 돼야 되고.
So for today's mind to exist, there has to be yesterday's mind, and therefore for yesterday's mind to exist, there has to be day to yesterday's mind. So for this year, last year, then this life, last life, and so forth. So that's where we can come to understand that.
대용화도 못하다 그래. 딱 예능이 지나 또 예능이 지나.
So that, again, depends on the substantial cost.
In the bardo, we choose our parents, right? When we're in bardo, when we're going to be born again, we choose our parents, correct? Our consciousness chooses our parents.
So 어떤 거 cost? 나도 시험하게 되는 가서 한번 남겨놨어.
그럼 막을 내가 나온 거죠. 내가.
Or karma chooses.
Because very often people are born into families that they have no identification with. So, but they have chosen that, but it's the karma that actually has chosen. So why are people born to families that they don't identify with?
그러니까 가시 미카시라도 그런 어머니 산에 맡은 데인데 겨울에 왔어. 어머니 아마타다. 어머니 딱 지난 주는 맡은 데. 퇴사 강하시네. 관계잖아요. 퇴사 나와. 근데 어머니 밑에 겨울에 가서 내가 왔어. 근데 내가 가지는 다 내기 남아있는 가진 가지고 왔어. 안 되잖아.
내가 남은 말. 술때 내가 싸서는 내가 정한 거지. 내가 답을 나중에.
So you mean like what kind of karma we have created
That must
to
be
be
it,
born?
so, right, because if you make a choice, then it's actually not a choice. It's
Yeah,
your
you can't
karma.
make choice.
You're thrown into
You don't
that.
have any choice.
That's
You
right.
create a karma and you
Right.
create a karma to be born. So are you saying what kind of cause make us to be born?
Right, and why is it because you have to work out your karma with these particular individuals, so you're born to them.
So what do you mean by identify? You cannot identify with them?
Right, or get
But
along
not similar
with,
to-
or feel, close to.
Yeah. 그래서 소소다 tunsam에 봤어. 상계선에 tunsam에 되는 거는 소소다 여우도 보라. 거기 여우도 이거 잘하다. 아마이나 내내 문도 나가셔라. 가셔서 아마 문도 거기 좀 소유도 와서 내내 문도는 교환 내는 거를 가르쳐 주는 거였어.
리베나 기와 랭게에 내가 싸서지. 기와 한만은 소수기 통과하더라. 딱 그대나 시대로 딱 도도되거든. 지금 제가 개원들의 수준 하나도 로션 투자로
So, I mean, you have created karma, in relation to many different people, right? So, all kinds of things you have created karma to be born as their, children, parents, and so forth, in many different ways. So, the reason I think, why you don't get along with the previous people, or there's no identification, where you cannot be identified with a person, is because maybe you have created karma to not get along with people. So where you should get along with the people, like you should be respecting your parents, and taking care of them and so forth. Instead of doing that, and you do the opposite. You don't respect them, you don't take care of them, you don't get close to them, and then you have created karma to not to have that kind of closeness with your parents in the future. So it's just like the rule of sharp weapon. So whatever kind of karma you have created,
That's right.
that's the kind of result that you're going to
So
experience
until
in the
you
future.
exhaust that karma, you keep having that kind of
Yes.
relationship.
Yeah.
단단하서 내 루치야 돼. 한번 저번에 가령 와서 집시에도 먹었어.
So for everything there's a karma. And we have created karma to experience any kind of result. So for us to be able to gather together here, so many different kind of people, what kind of karma have we created? What kind of karma each of us have created to be able to get together like this time on this day? Nobody will be able to tell that.
양 사정도 다티 가르쳐는 야가시나 내도 누가시나 내도 되는 거. 내가 양 갑자기 짜고.
So of course it's a karma, but you can't just say that, oh, this is karma and let it take its action. You can't do that. You should still, try from your side to into contract, with the karma.
예세도 배 캔서 오시고 배에서. 그다음 또 블랙 마음 요청 벌써 하고 있대. 인이나 보시고 계시나. 코시다 우리 나포인 거지. 근데 사실 자와이 거지. 그래서 로로 전화지. 근데 알려요. 근데 정말 근데 계시나 깨주신 거도 내가 그래서 말이야. 우리 나포인 거다 전화했어. 대 은혜 하고 말이야. 근데 게임이 셔바군죠. 계실라를 삐져 개바들이 끼와 신말 해도 게임이지. 계실라 나고 있어. 나한테 뭐 이미 제대로 제시 뭐뭐 그런 때 게임을 알
So I don't know if you have heard of this monk, an African American monk, who went to Saraja Monastery, who completed all the studies and reached to the Geshe level. And then later he came here, and he came to the center in Chamba, who stayed here at Kurukulla Center and translated for Geshe-la, late Geshe-la, for some time. And then it's a very strange, it's like you can call it karma. And there was one lady, I don't know, with some kind of psychic power, who said that this monk was a reincarnation of one of Geshe-la's older brother from Tibet, who died in Tibet, and then he was born here. Sarah and became here. And so they met here together again.
Do you know the black monk? They don't know.
Champa.
I don't know.
Yeah. And is a tar gulang to kill maros. I would not to kill maros. More than no share.
So, and she had, this woman with some kind of psychic power. She had a reason, to explain that. Yes, of course, if we just say that, nobody would believe, but she had a good reason to prove or to explain that he was the reincarnation of Geshe-la's brother.
And the Gewang Hami Geshe-la Pejate, that Geshe is Ma, to say she will do it in Shishas. Gewang to Shish. They minute Geshe-la Pejo came by the Vela, open the margin, and that you push to the floor.
So, and then one of the reasons why it made Geshe-la to believe what she said was that she explained to Geshe-la how his brother died. She didn't know, but she did. So she told him that his brother died in a war, in a fight. And then it was true that in Tibet during the Chinese occupation, so he got into a fight with the army, and then he died like that. He was shot to death.
They check that the middle, no more down more. Not him and the Geshe-la Sauji. Simo Puchi, Mama Jahayo, Jahani Ko, Belchim, Bel Chimba, and Lukoa, Geshe-la, Takoya, Yonto Marse, and Gulavas. The Shumata, Kolana, Shuto, Koya, to your mother. Indico Pan to your.
And then also other thing that made Geshe-la to believe what she said was that there was one of Geshe-la's nephew, who was in Tibet, and then he later went to India, studied there for some time, and then later he went back to Tibet to meet with his relatives, and he was going to come back. And then she told Geshe-la that he's not going to be able to come back. And then it was true that he died in Lhasa.
When she told Geshe-la that time, he's not there. He is going to Tibet. But he told Geshe-la, oh, he's not coming back. But it's true. He died in Lhasa. That didn't look at Geshe-la, can't you let her go.
So some people, because of certain things that they did in the past and future lives, in their past lives, they gain this kind of psychic power to them to tell.
아니 자가라야 딱 부모지래야. 부모 뭐라기 딱 세드가 제가 남의 바와 많이 세드가 바와 시행이 부모들 되었어. 나 토는 많이 되었어.
So I've also heard people mention about this woman, a girl, who has two parents. So parents from past life and parents from this life.
아니 제가 엄마한테 좋은데 이 뭐 주고 마다 로빠지 주가지 못하고 이 저 출연에 다 롱아도 걸어야 아니 뭐라기 다 못사자 파트 다 제가 남매지 도지도 가장 자동 다 시력이 없어.
So there's the girl, who was born, right, and when she was like 5-6 years old, she was able to tell her present parents what she was in her past life. And then she mentioned that these are my parents. And so she had parents from her past life, because she died at a young age from in the past life. And then she was born now as a girl. And this girl has this parents of this life. And then she explained, she told the story of her past life, where she was born, what she was doing, and all these things. So then when they went back, they were exactly those parents were there. And so her past life parents were there. And then she has a present life parents also. So they say she has two parents. And so there are these kind of examples, and also to prove that there are past and future lives. So when we're young, our memories are more fresh, so we can tell about our past and future. We can still remember something. And then, but as we grow older and older, we get into more and more things, and then we forget about our past. So this is how we usually prove that there are past and future lives. reincarnation, we're all reincarnated. We're all born again.
But we are fortunate no one recognizes. Right? Even the high lamas, they recognize it. They say, oh, my teacher something. Was it? Reincarnation, but no one recognizes us. But we are all reincarnated. Reincarnation,
So reincarnated means like we're born again, right? Is that what it means? So we're all born again, so we're all reincarnated. Right? So sometimes we're reincarnated as dogs, sometimes as a donkey.
나도 마 단단한 좀 말이. 네 마시는 나도 미치게 되는 나도 수치라도 맞춰서 뒤에 해봤어.
So right now we're human beings, right? If after we die, what are we going to be born as? We can't say we're going to be born back as a human being again, right? Do we have the confidence to say that?
아니 당나도 전에 가지 보면 저 마제니 저 버티게 저 보면 나도 수치라도 맞았어.
Same with male and female, right? The genders, now we're a boy, and now I'm a boy, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be born as a boy or man. Again, in the future life, no, I can't say that, right?
그래서 예 진짜기 맘자다. 다 상지 코니가 시에 다 나도 그렇지. 엘라우 시에도 다 말해도 소원이 있어.
So it all depends on our karma and then which happens more, happens at the time of death, right? So we can't really tell. And so only the person, only being who can tell about the details of the karma is the Buddha.
그래서 당나도 지하면 당나도 지하하시는 경우에서 당나도 다 죽어와 제고 그래서 나도 쇼칭이 나도면서 봐.
So because there are future lives and we want to have happiness in the future, so therefore we have to practice that. That's the reason.
Then 먼저 제가 심말아야 이 조라 자사비데 그래도 깨워나 나도 다 누가 나도 통해 봐. 누가 열어 봤어.
So again, if we are born as animals, like the squirrel outside there, it's running around, eating grass and so forth. And when we look at it in general way, it doesn't seem like it has much suffering, but it does have a lot of suffering, right? So do you accept that? Do you accept that there are a lot of suffering in the animals, the birds who are flying out there?
So then,
so from morning to night, it's running around, flying around to find something. The reason why it's flying around, running around, is because it wants to have happiness, right? Same thing with us. We're running around all the time, all day, right? Day and night. Why are we doing that? We try to do this, we try to do that, we walk and we exercise and so forth. All these things, why do we do? Because we think we'll be happy if we do that, right? In order to find happiness. So we do all these things in order to not face the difficulties for ourselves and for our families, right? And those difficulties are suffering, right? So it's the same thing with all the beings and all the animals, the human beings. We all run around from morning to night in order to achieve some happiness, in order to avoid the sufferings. So the sufferings, can keep on coming, no matter what we do. It will keep on coming, and it's like never ending. The ripples, like the ripples in the ocean, in the sea. Right?
Do you guys have any sufferings? Well, we all have. Just we look in the area, look at no one has any problems. But we go detail, there are a lot of problems. Okay? Even right now, I'm getting cold. You get cold? There's nothing to do.
So this is what we call the suffering of change. So earlier when we came in here, it was nice, cool, right? Feel they're very comfortable. Then as we sat longer and longer in that, then now it's becoming too cold and becoming suffering. So it's suffering of change.
나도 단단 나도 끼어서 얘들은 너무 고아라 그래서 내가 끼어 내가 그거 마셔 아니나 나도 좀 다 되다 그런 거 같아.
So as long as we're born in cyclic existence, so like in the circle of death and birth all the time, as long as we're in that circle, then we have to go through all these sufferings.
들리는 말이다 지금. 근데 나도 그만 누가에 다 저도 지금 맨도 거 제가 봐요. 그걸 누가 그냥 예어라서.
So as long as we're in samsara, in cyclic existence, we have the suffering. So even if we pretend we don't have suffering, we still have it.
근데 제 중화 너도 여러
So everybody has some kind of suffering, different kind of suffering. So tall has tall suffering, short has short suffering, and so on.
근데 제 체월에 체력이 있구만. 제 명예나 매력이 있구만. 정말 하고
So people who are rich, they have suffering of being rich. People who are poor, they suffer of being poor, and so forth. So there's always suffering.
뭐 깨다 체월에 깨다 체월도 고소 동안에서.
So famous people also have suffering, right? They have suffering of being famous.
Do you think the famous people, the rich, famous, the authors, they have suffering? Actors. They have lots of suffering. They 고조가야 별대 모습으로. 우리 잡초를 지어서 그거 가지는 생각만 하고.
So they have always the worry, thinking that they will not become, they will lose their fame, right? There will be nobody being friend of them, big fan of them, or losing their status, losing their fame, and so forth. So they always have this worry, even if they are famous, right?
아, 와서 저거에 많았다. 그는 거 공부해서 그랬다. 나도 오바마다 아니 공부를. 한 고마워 생각도 왔어. 쇼치는 나도 고마워서 했다. 샘플을 따라.
So and then people with the power, the status and position and power, like Obama, he's the president of the United States, right? And as you see, there's been so much changes in his hair color, right? There's getting more and more gray color, right? So usually we say that's the sign of worriness.
Then you guys are how about Geshe-la you? I'm also getting old, something. 근데 이번에 간증 안주 아 개명에 먹이 가도 사회에 들어온데 예능에도 지금 더 솔직 그리고 거기서 야단이 서다라는 제 공격강이 뭐로 지금 더 속강이 셈이 좋아요. 이게 무슨 말이에요?
Then maybe we see in the general we think people with the people who are homeless, they have more suffering. But actually, they have less suffering, I think. As long as they find a place to sleep, they don't have to worry about anything else, right? So maybe they have less suffering than other people.
I think maybe I was better. I had experience. That time, not much suffering. Worry is maybe by night time, we don't find a sleep place. I was in a beggar in the last 2 months. During that time, in India, Tibetan tradition, it's very easy to find food. We go to Parkour. We go to Parkour, breakfast time, we do recite the Tara, pray, then we got very big breakfast. The families, the rich families, they bring, big pot, soup, only they bring very delicious. See, then we got breakfast, then we go just order around, then lunch time we go again there, we do couple, Tara place, they bring lunch, very delicious lunch. Dinner time also.
Parkour is like it's a temple on the sidewalk of the temple. So people who go to make offerings in the temple, they just go around, they circumambulate around the temple, and the beggars, they just sleep around the temple, and people who come to make offering, they will also give food to the beggars.
Problem is not difficult to worry to sleep. Usually the daytime, the people put things over the table. When they left, the table is there, they go home. If we go to under the table, we sleep there. And sometimes the Chinese police come, they kick on us. At night time. This is not good. Otherwise, not much worry. 내가 딱 주말에는 가세강이라서 수천 한번 만들어가지고 먹고 맡아가지고 가세강이고.
So if you're a salesperson, then how much suffering do you have, right? Of not being able to sell the things, not being successful in business and so forth. So you have a lot of suffering there, a lot of worries.
근데 딱 나도 남의 취우 갈라나 저랑 대화는 등원은 너무 돼. 대면도 망하지 영어 대도 다 저런 거 써먹 따다가 저런 거 제가 안 몰래 그랬어. 대사 다때 만으로 채워서 생각하고.
So in Buddhism, we say that friends that all the sufferings and all the difficulties, all the unwanted things that we don't want to experience, comes from our own action, from our own mistaken actions, because of not knowing how to think in proper way, or how to do the things in proper way, because of not knowing the right thing, and because of doing the wrong thing. That's why we experience those sufferings. And now the Buddhism explains what is the right thing, what is the right way of thinking, what is the right thing to do, and so forth. So if you do that right thing, then you will be free from those suffering, and you will experience the happiness.
그래서 다 남의 때 레인 둘라가 때 너무 소소하다 채워서.
And so of course it is what is explained in Buddhism, in the Buddha's teaching, but whether that's true or not, of course you have to investigate, you have to check it yourself. If you think that makes sense, then you accept it. If not, then you don't have to accept it. So like, for example, in Buddhism, Buddha's teaching, it says being jealous is not good. If you're jealous, you don't get along with your friends. If your friends are doing good, you have to be happy for them, right? Instead, if you're jealous with them, then they will not be happy with you, right? And so it says that you should not be jealous. If you're jealous, then you will not have friends. You'll suffer.
가려서나 전에도 제사 갑자기 제사 미리 갑자기 맞아 수술선나 수술 강의 쳐서 와서 그러니까 저도 제사이고 저도 나 수술 정보로 지금 내가 저도 제사 띵 제아들 다 수술 제고 쓰는 수술선 맞아 지금 와서 내가 그 수술 다 좀 몸으시는 거.
So and then when you are jealous with somebody, and then you want to do better than them, right? And then when you are not able to do that, then you become a bit more suffering.
다 공부 세든다는 것도 가지나 공부다 강의 좋은 건 학고로.
And then same with other kind of delusions, other kind of afflictive mind, like anger, the negative minds like anger, jealousy, the attachment, and so forth. So anger, is quite easy, right? When you are angry, you are never happy.
그래서 사상이 많아요. 더 정말이에요. 다들 지지 고르더나 나도 생각이 요즘은 들었어.
So whether it's among the couples, the boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband, wife, if you're angry with each other, you'll never be happy with each other, right?
아니 고르더나 너도 강아지를 샤워도 하는 거고 그래.
And then with anger, if you try to do something, you won't be successful in anything you do.
Then you have maybe sure that. 가서 그게 소원수 그래. 그래도 선발 주되게나 아니 세부에 따지셔야 돼요. 근데 세티 통으로 줬어. 세부에 따지셔야 돼. 같은 통으로
So his Holiness mentioned in the teaching in Washington D.C. that those whose mind is more disturbed, and have a shorter life. So they find that out from the scientific way, from the scientifically investigated.
다 들려줘요. 이제 강제마지 아비 추는 나마지 라브제트 레벨은 소소 따져지네. 로도 제가 캐치고 있는
So it is important to again analyze what is being taught in Buddhism and see whether it makes sense or not. And if it makes sense, then you should study it.
근데 기왕 하시세요. 되게 다 당연히 라이 맞아. 기왕 하시면은 개성이 딱 나서 소리 드리는 걸 딱 뭐야? 다 드리는 거 좋아해요.
So if there is no past and future lives, there is no past life which transform into this life, then there cannot be today's person who was transformed from yesterday's person, right? So if there is a today's person, then that means there was yesterday's person.
25 years old, everybody 25 years old. And the Lord is Sangha Yawati, good. Second, the Kama, the Chuse, the Yama, the Dawa, the Loji, two in Mangoji, the Jing of the Lord is Sangha was. And I look at Luchua, and I look at Sangha Pachas.
So like when you reach age 25, and when you become 25 years old, and you didn't become 25 years just like that, right? You know, so by passing so many, days, minutes, hours, minutes, and seconds, then you gradually become 25 years old. And so, it was transformed from the previous moment to the next moment. And so that was 25 years old, because that was 24 years old. You cannot have 25 years old, not 24 years old. So all became, you became 25 because that was 24. And that, when that transition also has so many times, so many like moments, the hours, days, and so forth. So, because we want happiness, we don't want any sufferings, and the fact that we are perishing, right? We're perishing all the time, disintegrating all the time, moment by moment, and then we're going to eventually die, and one day we're all going to die. And so we're perishing and we're going to die. So when do we have to do? When we die, then it's going to be the time for us to, for you to make a decision where we're born, right? So before that, we have to prepare ourselves and to have a good rebirth. So when do we prepare that? When do we prepare that? When do we do that preparation? So that should be just right now, today, right now, at this time.
So it is said
in that verse, so whether you do that like that or not, you have to think of yourself. So what is said is not it's not like it's saying like that in order to scare somebody else. So whether you believe in Buddhism or not, whether you believe in past and future life or not, if you just study and practice Buddhism, there are a lot of benefits. So there are many difficulties we face in this life. If we have studied Dharma, then we'll be better at handling those difficulties, those problems.
Okay? Investigation.
So I think the time has passed, so we'll not go through the teachings of the book, but anyway, whatever I mentioned so far, you have to check it, analyze it yourself, whether it makes sense or not.
Do you have any questions? If no question, we can stop here. Thank you, everybody. Also, particularly to Walter, thank you very much. You do a very good job. Everything very clear. Thank you very much.
So everyone that doesn't know, Walter repainted the Pabongka while we were in DC.
And the ceiling.
And the ceiling and everything. Everything, all the trim, all the cabinets, all the walls, ceiling. Incredibly kind. So
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, to come. Especially